All right, y'all, so let's get right into it. This is my first time ever making caramel cake or caramel cake, however you want to pronounce it. To make this cake from scratch, it's a long process, especially the caramel part, making the caramel part of it. So I found the easiest way. I don't know, I forgot the lady's name, but I found her channel and she made it this way, so I decided to try it out. Basically, you just use condensed milk. You take the labels off and keep it in the can, put it in a crock pot, cover it with water, and let it basically let it cook for, she did it for 8 hours on low. I was pushed for time, so I tried it for a little over 4 hours on high. So now that I preheated my oven to 325, I'm just gonna go ahead and do the cake mix. My son decided to help me with this part. So this part is pretty self-explanatory. I'm just gonna spray my pan so that the cake won't stick to it. So on this step, I'm just pouring the cake mix into each pan. It will be a 2-layer cake, so there's 2 pans. I would recommend that you split the batter into 2 so that each of the cake batter could be even with each other, so you can have yourself an even cake. see me tapping the pan on the counter. This is basically just to kind of even it out a little better, get it flat so it won't be so lumpy looking.
30 hertz straight up, straight up, straight up.
So again, my oven was already preheated to 325. I set my timer for 20 minutes and then I took them out. Once I took the cakes out the oven, I just set them on top of the stove so that they could cool for a few minutes before I took them out of the pan. So this process that I'm doing right now, it's called sweating the cake. You basically take the cake out of the pan and you wrap it in saran wrap, and it's basically sweating out the cake. It's making it moist all throughout the cake. So that's what you'll see me doing here. So I'm just gonna say it. I never knew until now, I never knew that condensed milk after being cooked for hours will turn into caramel. I never knew that. And according to online, a lot of people didn't know that either. But I guess it does. So here you see me kind of just mixing the caramel, the condensed milk, whatever you want to call it. Now the video that I watched, her caramel was a lot darker and a lot thicker. I think the reason mine isn't as dark or isn't as thick is because I didn't cook it as long. I should have cooked it longer. I should have just did what she did and not rushed it. So like I said, she cooked hers on low for 8 hours. I cooked mine on high for about four and a half hours, if that. But next time, definitely I will do it like she did it. So even though mine didn't come out as dark or as thick as hers did, it still has that caramel feel to it. It still have like a thick consistency to it. So when I was layering the cake, I noticed it wasn't like soaking the cake or soaking through the cake. It was going on like a thick layer. So it was coming out better than I expected already. Cause I ain't gonna lie, when I first seen the color, I was like, this ain't gonna work. So once I got done putting the caramel on the first layer, I let it sit just for a little bit before I added the top layer. So here I just added the top layer, and this was actually my favorite part. It was so satisfying to watch. I'm just pouring the caramel on the top layer, and it basically just fell on the cake smoothly. And again, even though it wasn't as thick as the video that I watched, it went on perfect, and it wasn't soaking the cake. Like, the cake wasn't wet. It still had a thick consistency to it. Okay, and I'm just gonna let this sit for a little bit, and that's pretty much it. That's a really easy way to do a boxed caramel cake, or caramel, how some people call it. But anyways, the cake turned out really good, better than I expected. Just for future reference, I would definitely cook the condensed milk for 8 hours instead of 4 on low. Or I also seen some people just boil theirs for 4 hours on high on top of the stove. You just got to make sure you keep putting water in it, because the water will evaporate. Also, the part about sweating the cake, it really made a big difference. The cake was super moist and it was really good. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.